Well, great. Well, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here to talk to you about the clinical research ecosystem at Hopkins. We don't think of it as bureaucracy. We think of it as a highly matrix clinical research ecosystem. But I'm really thrilled with some of the work we've done in the last several years to try to make things easier for clinical researchers. You know our tripartite mission, and we like to link clinical care and clinical excellence with advancing discovery and knowledge. So clinical research can take all kinds of forms, from clinical trials to using data resources, but that's what our faculty do so well. So it is a highly complicated place, but our faculty get grants from NIH, PCORI, foundations, and industry sponsors. They work really across the world in the work that they do, so there are plenty of opportunities to engage. I also want to highlight that you can do work at Johns Hopkins Hospital, you can do work at Bayview, as well as our community hospitals. We do have a mechanism in place, I'll talk about a bit earlier, where all the research done in the Johns Hopkins Medicine is covered under the Johns Hopkins IRB, as well as our contracting and Office of Research Administration. So the other thing that I would say is ask. And rather than try to find a way, or even if you have a senior faculty member who tells you how to do something, that may have been true 10 years ago, but may not be true today. So just ask, and we can help you navigate because we're working on making things easier. Some key people to know, Gail Dommett is the Vice Dean for Clinical Investigation. I report to her in my role, and she oversees all of the clinical investigation done here in the School of Medicine. Dan Ford runs the ICTR. This is the CTSA-funded network. A lot of resources there. The website's there. Megan Singleton runs the IRB. You may hear various things about the efficiency of the IRB, and the thing I would tell you is that they really are there to help and to partner. And if you've got a complicated project, something you think may create hurdles or barriers, reach out to the IRB and use their, they have a link to ask for help, and talk to them up front, even before you write your grant or plan your study. They will help you navigate some of the trickier things. And then there's the Office of Clinical Trials, and I'll talk a little bit more about that. So some of the resources. We have clinical research units, both at Bayview as well as Johns Hopkins Hospital, both inpatient and outpatient. We have research coordinators that are available. Tony Keys in the ICTR runs a research coordinator support service. They're sort of rented coordinators that can join your projects. The other thing they have is they can train coordinators. Let's say you get a new grant, you hire a coordinator, never worked at Hopkins before. They can train them on how to navigate as a coordinator in the Hopkins system. That costs about $400, which can be charged to sponsored accounts or any really account, and really is useful. There's resources for research design and data. I won't mention the BEAD Corps because you'll hear a bit later, but a lot available, as well as databases like REDCap. And I'll mention the Recruitment Innovation Unit. If you want to give MyChart messages to patients for studies or use social media or engage the community, this group is actually very highly effective at helping you do that. As you're thinking about where you can do research and you want to get outside of Hopkins, the Clinical Research Network, led by Adrian Dobbs, has alliances with Tidal Health, which is on the Eastern Shore, Tower Health in Pennsylvania, and Anne Arundel and WellSpan in Pennsylvania. So this has come in really handy particularly if you need rural areas. They can tap into areas that are not here in Baltimore City, and you can do all kinds of projects, whether it be NIH, PCORI, across this network. We also, again, have research structures in Howard County, Sibley, and Suburban. A lot of cancer research at Sibley, but there's also coordinators at each of the hospitals and folks that can help you navigate. Let's say you want to recruit in a population that's in Howard County. That's possible. Just reach out and talk about what needs to be done there. Office of Clinical Trials, this is the unit I oversee. Our director is Marion DeBacker, shown there. We work on clinical research contracting, budgeting, which is called Clinical Research Support Services. We also have an IND/IDE office, so if you have regulatory questions, regulatory affairs type questions, you can reach out there. And we're implementing the Encore Clinical Trials Management System. Those of you who have worked somewhere else, you may have used this. This was new in FY24, and one of the new resources we're putting in place. And lastly, there's informatic resources. So if you want to get data out of Epic, that's a great way to start many projects. First, talk to folks and understand what you're going to need in terms of IRB approval. The data trust research data subcouncil will be involved. But if you lay things out up front, it'll be very smooth. The CCDA is a group that helps you pull data down. They offer a couple of free hours of consultation to help you understand how to set up your project. There's Precision Medicine Centers of Excellence. You can look at the website there, and these are also resources different groups have in place. And there's a group called PACE. Let's say you've got a project where you want to give everyone that's coming to a clinic a questionnaire at Epic. They can help you do that for research purposes. So as you're thinking of a project that involves Epic or data, reach out first as you're planning it. That way you won't hit hurdles when you're thinking you're getting close to the finish line, and then you find out, whoops, I didn't talk to the Data Trust Research Data Subcouncil, and now you're back to the IRB. So think about planning up front and reach out to resources. So that was a lot of things, but the main take-home message is ask questions early and often, and we're here to help. You can always just email oct@jh.edu, and we'll get back to you, and we can always point you in the right direction. It's taken me 25 years to figure out the right direction at Hopkins, but I think I, at least in general, know where to send people. So thanks for your time.